This is Marcy Axelrod, and you are watching the Break It Down show.
So great to have
thanks
you here, Marcy.
on the show.
I'm hoping you bring all your Marciness.
Oh, that is so wonderful. You are the first person who picked up on that from the TED stage. So
I
thank
love
you.
your TED Talk. I aspire to do a TED Talk, so I would love to hear all about it at some point. But I also want to, welcome you to the show. Marcy, for those of you who don't know, is an award-winning and best-selling author, and you have 2 books, right?
Well, I have 2 books. I have 2 TED Talks. Yeah. And I'm also a visual artist. In fact, I'll be at Art Basel, Miami next week at 2 different shows, the Penthouse of Aqua and Red Dot. So yeah, I mean, speaking, writing, arting, in addition to parenting, friending. Yeah. So there's a bunch of different things I do.
Yeah, and you're known for teaching the world the truth about showing up. So tell us a little bit about the platform of showing up, just so people can kind of understand the context of the core of your work.
It's interesting you called it a platform. So to me, it's not a platform. To me, nature designed human beings in a certain way so that we thrive. So it's more of a set of universal truths and a belief system. It has nothing to do with branding. It has nothing to do with platforms. It has nothing to do with any of that silliness. Yeah, it's a way of being and a way of living that enables people to basically live full, meaningful, complete lives. And it's based on about 30 years of research about how nature works and how humans work and how we're designed.
I love that you mentioned about nature, because I also am an author and I have a book based on nature-based wisdom called Root to Rise. And so I get it. We're speaking the same language. So I'm so excited to hear more. And like I said, I've watched your TED Talks and I'm familiar with the concepts, and I'm just so excited to talk to you about your path with it. So from the TED Talk, for those people who didn't watch, I remember you talking about overcoming some adversity when you were younger and arriving at the concept, on your own, using your own, I guess was it a transformation, or was it like, at what point were you able to start to overcome those adversities?
Yeah. So when I was 6, the family moved from Baltimore to Boston. And little Marcy, new school, new friends, mom and dad busy with their new jobs and everything. So I didn't have the attention that I needed. So my body acted out. I'm not one to behaviorally act out. So what happened is my body did it for me. And it said, give me attention, by locking my throat. So I couldn't speak, and I stuttered. So, I mean, that's what happened. You can call it an adversity. You can call it a fabulous gift that I'm grateful for every day. And effectively what it taught me, you're 6 years old, you're in class, you put your hand up, and, collectively, the entire room just went, ugh. And I learned so much. I learned, first, I can't stand this. I can't stand that there's something about me that's bringing everybody down. I'm like, somehow my life is creating pain. The teacher would even, I know I'm going to have to call him Marcy at some point today. But other things that I learned we're not individuals. We're all individuals. Okay. And that's a book that I trademarked. It's a word that I created. Individual is just a misunderstanding, as if we're separate. You take your spoon, you put it into the ocean, you have a spoonful of ocean. Is it separate from? Well, okay, you could say, sure, it's separate, just like each of us feel like we are separate. But you've got the whole damn ocean in that spoon, right? They're like, the ocean is constantly mixing and brewing, and that spoonful of ocean. So that's what we are. And the collective emotional lives that we have, that I felt at age 6 that day, it taught me we're not separate. It taught me we're impacting the world at every moment. Therefore, we matter. We have to choose each moment how we show up. Because of the pain, though, I kind of shut myself off. There's no more Marcy. There's no more ego, individualism, or just individual there anymore, because I couldn't stand it. The trauma was just going through me every day. So I took my self mirror, and for those of you listening, so I'm cupping my hands facing me, my self mirror, and I'm turning them outward. My self mirror turned outward. The thinking from the 6-year-old brain was, if I can't stand to be who I am, because I can't show up as I choose, I'm just going to forget about that. I'm going to focus on how everyone else is showing up. So my whole perspective on life became observational and observed how everyone else is showing up, right? So there you are on the blacktop behind school playing Foursquare, which is this game in America where like you kind of hit the ball around. It's prominent in elementary school. And then you start to observe, well, you got the bully over there in the Foursquare, in the A square, the scaredy cat about to get slammed out over there, the kid in the line waiting for his or her turn, who like can't even function as an entity, who wants to disappear into the woodwork. You got the teachers over there doing nothing. So I'm observing how everyone else is showing up. And what it led me to understand is, look, I can't show up as I choose, but look at all of them throwing their show up choices away. And I said, this is not okay with me. This is just not okay. Because, when you're traumatized at that age, or really at any age, like it kind of takes over. Mm-hmm. And I mean, just the brief second half of the story, age 12, now I'm sent to a rehabilitation hospital to learn to speak. And I'm surrounded by elders, who have had strokes. They're learning really basic things. They're learning to hold a fork. They're learning to feed themselves. They're learning to sit, stand. They have experts by their side. I mean, these people, right? They've got experts helping them take a single step. And they had these expert plans, these papers that they would flip. And they were struggling still, even with a lifetime of wisdom, experts by their side, well-made plans. They still couldn't show up as they chose. So that's when right there at age 12, I said, that's it. Where's the roadmap? Where's the blueprint? This is what I'm dedicating my life to. This is my calling. I'm going to figure out how humans are designed to show up, to thrive. So that's when I started to devour every bit of psychology, neuroscience, evolutionary biology, et cetera, behavioral economics, right? Why do we do what we do? And how do we, why do we just default show up? And that's what led to the model. We're in 3 roles, not 1. There's 3 levels of showing up. I'll share some slides with you after this that you can put up in the show notes. But yeah, we can get into what the model is. But anyway, that's the story. That's how I became me. And that's the childhood adversity that you brought up.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's even more detail than I was aware of. So this is great. I love the breaking it down for the Break It Down show. Great. Exactly. And I know there's a lot of methodology there. And I've had challenges with having to explain the full, framework of my book. And so I get that there's a lot to say. And so we'll just kind of take it as it comes. So let's just make sure people understand. So now you have 2 books. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on to your 2nd book. Tell me about what you learned about that process. Are you, I think I saw that you started to apply it to corporate wellness programs, or tell me a little bit about how you were able to support corporations with this.
Yeah. So I was a strategy management consultant with KPMG Consulting for a decade. That's why I was living in Silicon Valley, and I was working with the who's who of kind of the big high tech giants at the time. I was one of the leaders of the high tech strategy practice. So really everything that I saw around corporate effectiveness, around what should our strategy be to grow. So whether you were trying to understand the employees, whether you were trying to understand the customers or the prospects, it didn't really matter. Understanding how human beings choose or don't choose to show up is the process that we went through to answer the questions. And I did that for about 20 years. Yeah, I mean, now I don't do any more of the like global big scale corporate change projects anymore. I more speak, write, and create art as a way to change the landscape. Yeah.
I'd love to see some of your art. And what kind of art is it? Is it more, do you have anything there? Is it visual? What are you doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just
Oh,
sent.
we're going to see it. Let's see
We're
it.
going to see it. Yeah, I just sent my 10 best pieces. They're on their way to Miami for Art Basel, Miami. But this is a very small. This is a very small piece.
Ooh, is it glass?
It's a sculpture. It certainly looks like glass, but it is not glass. It is resin.
Ooh, I love it.
This piece just came back. This piece was with me at the Affordable Art Fair in Boston.
I love that.
And you see, all of it is extremely three-dimensional.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, this piece is going to Paris. So this piece will be at Art Capital at the Grand Palais in Paris.
Very cool.
And it's very three-dimensional. And this one's on the floor because it's about to get shipped off.
I love the watery quality of those colors.
Thank you. So yeah, once again, the three-dimensionality you can really see. So that's a few of them. I have a gallery. So I host salons. I host artists in residences. By the way, there's a whole nother blah blah blah.
Your house looks beautiful too.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a gallery here. So
gorgeous.
The point is, let me just explain. We didn't get into what truly showing up means and what the model is, but what I'll explain is that instead of being an individual artist who wants to sell stuff for a wall through a gallery, I'm completely turning that on its head. I host artists in residences here at my home in my studio. I host events at my home, which I also call a gallery. I support and uplift artists from all over the world. I'm part of a global art network. So like you're getting the sense that what truly showing up means is that you don't so much function as an individual, you function as an all-dividual. You very much live into the truth that we are connected with each other and we aren't supposed to live so much to each other as with and for each other, right? The spoon of ocean, right?
Right, the collective, the fabric that we're all part of. Love that.
That's right. More from the heart than from the head. Right hemispheric, and we can get into that more. Yeah,
and I love the fact that you're creating something to bring other people in, and that I think it does start with certain connectors, people that create opportunity for others, and it seems like that's part of being kind of transcending and being there to contribute back to to the world and to create opportunities. So it seems like you're really on a path for supporting other people, which is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about a meaningful life, right? Mel Robbins wrote the quote that's right here. Marcy, Axelrod reveals the roadmap you need to live a purpose-driven life. Living a life of like when you don't have meaning, there's misery, and in essence, separateness does that. Right? The model of showing up is 3 parts. You are not not 3 parts. We're in 3 roles. We live in 3 roles. We are not just individualized selves. You could say there's a self, fine. There are also 2 selves. There's the diminished ego-driven self, and then there's the self of Eastern contemplatives and the kind of root of every religion and indigenous peoples, where the self is really kind of a more societal self. So there's the self. Then there's a situation member role where you're deeply presencing. We can talk about what that is. It's a reverberative deeply integrated, being one with others. Right now it's with you, Chandra. And then we're all a member of something beyond all this. The family, a society, a religion, a sports team, whatever it may be. But we're a member of something beyond ourselves. So those are the three roles: self, situation, member, and then what I call societal member. But it doesn't have to be society if that's too abstract. You can really think of it as just something beyond, this mere individual version.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. So that's interesting. Now, these three versions of self, is this part of your book, or where did that come
So I
from?
want to be careful. They're not a version of self. You're in all three every moment. Like it isn't like a questionable thing. It's just
You're
right.
yeah,
With me, it's like
it's all
universal.
happening.
Yeah, it's a universal truth thing. This is the model of how we show up. This is the model of how humans do show up. We're in three roles at all times. We're at one of three levels at all times. And we're utilizing the skill for each level at some. So this is our three roles. We're in three roles: self, situation, member, societal member. There happens to be a skill for each role that we can get into, self-grounding, situational readiness, and societal connectedness with intent to serve. We can talk about that. And you're always at one of three levels, bouncing around. Barely there, just showing up, which my research shows 80% of us are doing 80% of the time, or truly showing up, which is very much of the interconnected, uplift others way to live in. And you really resonate at a frequency that like almost approaches joy when you do it, which is just, call it, I mean, this is when like the world manifests to you everything that you're looking for. And we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'm just so resonating with what you're saying about uplifting others and having something to contribute back, and that connectedness. And I it's really the kind of the core essence of my book. I put it as, so on my cover, I have fruit on a tree. I feel like when we're able to have something valuable to offer back out, that that is what brings that joy and that fulfillment, that you feel like you're aligned to a purpose, you have something to offer, you understand the meaning and the value, and it starts to transcend some of your own needs. And I think that there's so many different methodologies. And like you said, you're a researcher, you have studied neuroscience and all these other modalities and arrived at this. It's like at some point we arrive at this idea that we are all part of something greater, and that we're here to uplift each other, and that it's just all connected. So it's so cool to hear that, you and I have never met. We come from different backgrounds, we have different inputs, and yet we're still arriving in a very similar place with our own personal missions of sharing, this with other people, and getting them on board with it, because it's so meaningful to I think in some ways people understanding this and deciding whether to align to it does help bring everybody to be closer. We're starting to speak the same language and be able to talk about this in these terms. And it's really fun. Do you have a community or book club or anything to where, this conversation can keep going?
Wow. Do I have a community or a book club? I guess I have a community. I mean, I've been doing, I don't know, 50 plus podcasts this year. A lot of keynote speaking, but I mean, there isn't really, I think it's not nearly as large as I would like it to be. I'm very into the local. I want to see people, but I certainly do kind of global inflow and outflow as well. But, it would be really fun though, Chandra, to kind of more purposefully start that through the art. It's interesting because through the art, there's much more of a community, I find, because people show up as human beings versus in the corporate world, people show up as like a persona, some version of either need to be seen as, lesser than, better than, I deserve. Those are kind of the four things that really lead us to feel a sense of threat in our body, such that we can't truly show up. Like that really pushes us down into into the just show up level 2, which is not authentic, or it's just exhausted or triggered, and right. Yeah, but anyway, talk to me more. Let's envision right now this community.
Right? Well, we're putting the seed, we're planting the seed right now. As we go into the fallow period of winter, let's see if this seed germinates. But I do think that there's going to be people who resonate with this concept so intimately that they just want more, thirsty for this content, because we don't talk enough about it. Like you said, with authenticity, when you said being authentic, that is the word that has been showing up for me over and over and over. People are ready for this. They're ready to show up authentically. And there are blocks, like you said, with the different ways that we're showing, or maybe not showing up, that they need to get past. They need tools like this to be able to learn, oh, this is what the first self-identify, right? This is what's happening to me. And I see other people have struggled with it as well. And I have a desire to overcome this, because YOLO, baby, right? This is our one life. Like we need to show up for this if this is it. So, I think that they just may be needing tools, better understand it. And I should say too, that the nature-based aspect, the universal truth, I think what I love about it, and what's really served me as well, is how accessible it is to everyone. It's just really something that anyone, no matter what, background they come from, can grasp. And so I can see it as a local conversation, but also a global one, because it won't really matter where you live, what language you speak, what religion you come from, what, gender you are. It's really just about these natural, universal truths. So that's what I love about your work, is it really resonates with what the mission that I'm on as well. And I do think that it's going to hit the right people. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be people that just go, I'm ready to live authentically, and I just need to learn more about this. And so here we go. We have 2 tools in your book. We've got my book. We've got, all this stuff. And I say this because it's a word of encouragement for those people who really need to know that there's opportunity for themselves to make a difference, make a change. If they're not on the right road for themselves, they haven't been living authentically for whatever reason, no judgment. It's time, and these tools are available. So as far as, continuing the conversation, I love that you're doing a lot of podcasts, because you're reaching, different audiences with each one. And that you have built this amazing career, speaking out, working in corporate, working in the art community, all of these things. And you have that opportunity to continue with this leadership to let people know. So what is next for you? Do you have a third book? Are you still in this book?
I mean, there's a point where you don't want anything to be next. There's no next. Next is right now.
The present.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't put a word on it, because it's not a noun. It is like what I'm doing right now is a calling, and it is like I'm just a vessel. Like Marcy doesn't exist. I'm a vessel to get ideas out, or to get the truth out about how nature designed us to show up. I think something really important for people to understand is that we have 2 ways of attending to the right now, right? We evolved out in nature. We had to do 2 things, and to do those 2 things well, we couldn't have one brain. So we basically have 2. We have a left hemisphere and a right. And if it's okay, I'd really like to briefly explain.
Please.
They literally create different worlds. So, a deer is running by, and you want to kill it and eat it. Okay. And just let me just back up for a second. We needed to do two things to survive. We had to eat, think, grab it, get it, power over, control over. And we had to not be eaten, meaning like surveil the broad area. Is the cloud about to storm? Is there a predator over there? Right. So the whole eat part, right? So like there's a deer running by, and it's an object. It's not a living anything. It's an object, and you're going to grab it and get it. And your attention is about this wide, and it's laser focused on this one thing. And what the brain is really doing, since the left hemisphere can't actually perceive what's going on right now, what it's doing is it's saying, I've seen deer run before. So I'm going to represent, notice the word represent, I'm going to represent the past onto the right now. And that's what's going on, so that I can aim my arrow, whatever it was at the time, and I'm going to get it and can kill that deer. The left hemisphere cannot perceive space or time as it really exists. It basically abstracts. So you're living in the map. It doesn't matter if that's a mommy deer and it has baby over there. None of that matters. It's an object. And if there's a human being in front of you, that human being is an object also. And you can treat that human being like an object and just dismiss them or be rude or be mean or hurt them, depending on your mood and who you are. So that's the left hemisphere in action. It's us when we're in get it done mode, when we're stressed or threatened by anything at any time. Meaning, if we're tired, if we're hungry, if we're just out of energy and need a break, if our teenager is driving us nuts, if our relationship isn't fulfilling, if our boss stresses us out, it's, oh my God, I'm late for the meeting. This is called left hemisphere taking over. And you are doing, and you're not able to really presence and experience what's really going on. So that's the left hemisphere. The right hemisphere is the one that, Chandra, right now enables me to feel what you are feeling. Are you noticing the shift that just happened? The chemistry of my body was just changed by you because I just came to be with you, the human being, maybe the mother, definitely a daughter, probably a friend, and an author, and all these other things that you do. You're a human being to me, and you're so much more than just the beautiful face that I see. You're so much more, and you're impacting the world at every moment. And literally, the chemistry of my body is shifting. My cortisol is down, my oxytocin's up, my dopamine's probably up, maybe my serotonin as well. We are here together. And when you look in my eyes and I look in yours, in just mere seconds, your brain waves and mine start to do this. They resonate as a single brain in between the two of us right here, right now. It's called interhemispheric neurobiology. Right? So that's resonance. So what I'm saying is, and by the way, this is our situation member role. This is what it means. It's the dynamic flow. You're doing what you're doing of shaking your head because of me. And the only reason I'm saying these things is because of you. So everything is created. You're creating me, I'm creating you. So this right hemisphere way of attending to the world, this is human to human. This is when the colleague in the meeting senses you and how you're showing up and feels a sense of trust and feels a sense of openness and feels the permission, damn it, finally, to be who they are with you. So that's where authenticity shows up. So you see how deep this is. So this is the difference between just showing up and truly showing up. So I can go 6 levels deep with this. Neuroscience, what's going on in the brain, the body, the mind, which is separate from the brain, socially, behaviorally, spiritually, emotionally, all of those things. We can talk through each of those. And what happens as you shift into your human mode, your right hemisphere way of attending, which, by the way, only happens in a calm body because your nervous system can't be on alert of, okay, I have 5 minutes. What do I need to get done? Right? You can't be that way. So what happens as we shift into this truly show up mode is within the right now, the first thing is you start to notice. Because otherwise you're like, everything's bouncing off of you. You don't notice things. So first you start to notice. And then you start to tune in. I've seen Joe so many times, but I'm not sure he's that happy. Maybe there's something going on. You notice, then you tune in. And then you stay with Joe. You're like, you know what? Joe's not doing so well. And then you start to feel with. And then you go over and you're like, Joe, is everything all right? I remember you mentioning you were moving your mom last weekend into an elder care facility. How was that? Then you're enacting care. And this is how it happens. So this is the show up continuum once again, as you move from barely there into just showing up. You notice, you tune in, you feel with, and then you enact care. And that is truly showing up. That path. And the book explains, with a lot of references to a lot of science and a lot of studies, it explains how that happens. But I think intuitively, you kind of get that it happens.
It's interesting, to break it down that way, where people will understand that there's a bit of a process, and that it's something that they can turn on, or like you say, would show up with. And do you find being aware of it, and it, just it helps you have more awareness, like more, what is the word? Like being aware of the methodology, or I'm not sure what to call it, behind it, like what the science behind it, does it change the way you actually show up? Or do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get to
how does knowledge or insight of any kind impact how we behave, right? Yeah, I'm a behavioral scientist, and I mean, what I find is that if people you can just default through your life of just show up, right? It's like you wake up, you turn off the alarm, you go brush your teeth, but you're not really there. You're going through motions. When you understand what's going on, like what's behind it, might that change what you actually do and how you experience those moments? Absolutely.
I think it does, because I when I learned more deeply about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and started to learn it enough to be able to adapt it, for my book, I realized how much being aware of our human needs has actually helped me make significant choices in my life. Because so I'm thinking in terms of understanding something and being able to apply it. So this is great. This is great. So you have the showing up continuum there. And what are some of the other tools that you have in the book? Is there anything else you wanted to make sure to share on this podcast?
I appreciate that. If it's okay, let me just briefly reflect on Maslow for a minute.
Sure.
The hierarchy of needs that was popularized, unfortunately, omitted the top of the pyramid. So the one that's in a lot of the books ends with a self-actualization, and that's totally wrong. It turns out what's above that, as most of us now understand, is serving. Call it contributing. I don't like the shun version of words, contribution, because it's like a gerund form of a noun, and it kind of a noun is a thing. And I don't think, humans are processes, we're flow processes. So I don't like to nounify things, but contributions at the top. So you asked, are there any other tools? Yeah, I want to be careful with the word tool, because showing the natural flow of how humans show up and how they move from being kind of barely there as an object to the world into being a human. I mean, you could call it a tool. I don't really call it a tool. It's just this is just the way things work. I've just kind of put some words on it, put a line on it. Yes, to get to the rest of your question, are there other things that I want to put out there? Yeah. So showing up, if you want to change how you behave, if you want to change your life, okay? I don't believe at all in behavioral approaches to change. It makes no sense. Regardless of habit stacking and what Jim Cleary says in Atomic Habits and all those things, you start to feel like you're pushing a rock uphill, and everyone knows it. It takes willpower and diligence and all that. Do you want to know what really creates change with no effort? Change what you believe. If what you believe about how the world works suddenly shifts, you're going to do something different than you used to. Let me give you an example. Showing up is a set of beliefs. or truly showing up. Number one, this is a symbiotic world. The universe was created with a flow. Okay, what goes out comes back. It's like that Mobius strip, that figure 8. You go around one side and you come around. You go from the outside to the inside, and it's a never-ending thing. How you show up to the world is how the world shows up to you. So it's symbiotic, meaning it's meant to kind of support and help each other. Everything is. The tree gives us the oxygen. We breathe it in. We give the tree what it is, right? This is how the world works. It's symbiotic, but it's also reciprocal. There's a reciprocity. How you show up to the world is how the world's going to show up to you. Everyone knows this. You smile at someone, they're more likely to smile back. You hold the door for them. Next time, they're going to hold the door for you. What else? So some of the other beliefs that are part of this that I don't think are debatable. I think these are kind of more on the irrefutable, like, yup, that's right, type of sense. Everything you do impacts the entire world. Most people don't recognize this, right? Nicholas Christakis, I spoke about him in my TED Talk, right? Leads a behavioral science lab at Yale. He showed the 20 people around us are 45% more likely to do what we do. Those 20 people each have their own set of 20 who they're with most, right? That next level out is 25% more likely to do what we do. And then those people, so call it your best friend's, your best friend's spouse's daughter is now 10% more likely to do what you do because it flows out. And it goes on forever. This isn't just what you did last Tuesday at 5 o'clock. It's every moment of every day, everything you do is flowing out into society. And these people might walk by you and you will have no idea that they're doing something because of you. And by the way, doing like the behavior, that's not its own thing. Your behavior flows from an action, or flows from an emotion and a thought. Actually, it goes behavior preceded by thought, preceded by action, by emotion. So it's feeling and then thinking and then doing. So the people aren't just doing what you're doing, they're thinking what you're thinking and they're feeling what you're feeling. So what does this mean? It means you're accountable. It means you are responsible right now to make a choice. That's why it's circled here, to make a choice in how you're showing up. That's what I believe. And I think that most people just default show up. They just kind of wake up and start doing their thing. And every so often they'll think, how do I want to do this? Am I, having the impact that I want on this person or on this project? Or every so often they'll think about it, but then you just kind of fall back. Just like when you're trying to meditate, those darn thoughts just come up. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I like to think about if we all took that personal responsibility for our own growth and learning, all about all this and showing up with that kind of consciousness, what an amazing world it would be. Because I do think sometimes when people are just operating by default, they're vulnerable to negative thoughts or depressions, or they're not really challenging their own belief system. So things might have gotten instilled in them early that might not be showing up well or authentically now. Could be around their identities. It could be around beliefs that just, that maybe their families had that, I think as an artist, you'll probably relate to that. A lot of artists are told, keep your day job, or, things like that don't really support the arts, but they, as long as you're a doctor, lawyer, accountant, then you could do whatever you want, or focus on the things that matter. We get these beliefs, instilled in us. And if we really are internally wanting to show up authentically as an artist, then we might have that conflict, going on. And so having this awareness that those are just thoughts, those are beliefs, and challenging that, for yourself, I think is really important. And it seems to go right alongside this idea of choice, that ultimately you are choosing whether to adopt certain beliefs, whether to continue to do, act accordingly, and or whether to change that and align to what's right for you now as an adult, somebody with consciousness, with these, resources, if not tools, resources to learn for yourself about what's really going on, under the hood or behind the scenes. Does that resonate for you at all?
Yes, it does. I do think that one of the most powerful and helpful things that someone can do is take out a piece of paper and write down, what fundamentally do I believe about how this world works? What do I believe? Is this a friendly place? Is this a mean place? So Einstein wrote about the universe. He wrote, this isn't a good universe or a bad one. It's a self-reflective universe, because Einstein understood how the energy that we put out there comes back. Other beliefs to consider, right? What amount of kind of intrinsic trust should we be putting in the people around us, right? Inherently, are people designed to be good? Or are we just all doing the best that we can? So one of the things about this that I haven't mentioned that I think is really important, it's a permission system. We're moving along this continuum every moment of every day, and so is everyone else. And by the way, this isn't just about people. Every idea, every vote, every behavior, every company, every brand, every bit of fashion, fame, social media, crap, whatever it is, lives on this continuum and flows. And at some point it's barely there. And at some point it's just showing up. And at some point it's truly showing up. And it might be doing one now. And then, years later, you look back and you think, wow, that really wasn't as good as I thought it was, or that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So everything and everyone is showing up at every moment. And that means it's okay. It just is, right? Things are rarely actually good or bad. They just are. And then you put judgment on them, or you put some kind of interpretation on them, which, by the way, is a choice. And you kind of getting this back to what you were saying about resonating and tools and reflecting on beliefs. If you believe that you have permission to be who you are, as you are right here, right now. And I mean, that's it. You're free. And it gives you the energy and the presencing to say, okay, the next moment's coming. Who do I want to be right now? What do I want to believe about the person who, that neighbor who kind of always seems to snub me? It's not about me. Maybe they need some space. Maybe they need some time. Maybe in their childhood, they didn't get all the love and acceptance that they needed. And they're going to spend the rest of their lives kind of pushing the world away. And they get to do that. And it's not about me. And the person at work and the boss and all this stuff, it's not about me. Yet there's actually there's a senior executive at a well-known hospitality company who I work with, and she's dealing with a manager, another really senior person, who is absolutely a manager extraordinaire. He'd feel stressed on a Sunday and call her. Why is he like, I need this done now? I mean, really bad. And one day it came out that he's really estranged from his father. And I mean, effectively what happened is this person grew up with someone who kind of made him feel like he was insufficient and like he was never on top of things. So he's just, this boss now is just pushing it all out to everybody else with no idea and no ability to stop himself. And you could get upset with that person, or you can just have the endless compassion. Because you aren't going to be reporting to that person forever. Give it a couple months, maybe a year, but you're going to move to a different role to get away from him. You're going to change your role. You're going to be promoted. He's going to move away. You've only got a little bit of time to learn from the experience. and say thank you and let that person be who they are, because they're going to flow on their road and you're going to flow on yours. And don't try to change it, because it's not. You got to just let it be and accept that we're all flowing on the show up continuum, and it gives, and just live your life as best you can, right? You can only choose how you are showing up.
I love that. And I love the empathy and the compassion for other people and how that can actually be a teacher for you. So tell people about where to buy your books, and give yourself a little bit of plug, because we have had a number of people staying with us consistently this whole time. So this is landing and resonating with people. So I want to know, I want you to have an opportunity to let people know where to buy your books.
Yeah, so the book is on Amazon. I tried to make the ebook free so anyone around the world can benefit from it, but Amazon put a low price on it. So Amazon has the soft cover, which I highly recommend, because you don't want to read a book. You want to embed the book, right? You want to really wrestle with the ideas and challenge yourself. Do I believe this, right? Is this right for me? Does it fit with my world? So I recommend buying the book, writing all over it as you go, sharing it with friends. Amazon's the best place. Go choosetoshow-up.com, my website. Also has links, and there's also a contact page. I love hearing from people. What resonated? What didn't make sense? What do you want to hear more about? Because that's what helps me share what's most valuable.
Well, and our producer, Pete A. Turner, put up your website, choosetoshow-up.com. And I imagine that there's information on how to book you as a speaker, how to find that book. He's got the Amazon link here too. So we're good. We're good to go. And I just want to thank you so much for bringing your Marcy-ness. It's been an honor and a pleasure to learn from you, and to bring all this out into the world. It's so needed. Thank you for being here.
John, completely my pleasure. I don't know that I gave you enough time to talk about your book and to learn about you. So would you follow up with let's get together separately so I can learn from you?
I would love to meet with you. And for those people who don't really know me that well, I've been a guest of Pete's on his show 4 times. So there are podcasts for my stuff on Break It Down show. So no worries. I wanted this to be about you because your work is outstanding, and you're really in service and lifting up others in so many ways, through your books, through your speaking, through your art. And I just wish you all the best.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.